Y'all still letting Tommy pick y'all a partner. I don't know. His track record ain't been that good. Ready to Love Houston season 1, 2, and 3 should be ready to leave. Based on what I've been seeing over here, is making me ready to eat. But we're gonna go on over here to Houston and see what's going on. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and let's go to Houston. Ready to love. Okay, guys, I'm gonna squish episodes 1, 2, and 3 all into one because, to be honest, in episodes 1 and 2, there's not a whole lot going on. The connections don't really start to happen until you get to at least episode 3. So we're gonna knock them all out together. I honestly don't like dating shows. Like, I'm not a bachelor or bachelorette girl, but I do like elimination shows. It's always interesting to me to see who gets to last until the end. That's what this show is about to me. I don't know what Tommy talking about, like, because he has a terrible track record. We had, what's his name? Blue was over here frauding the people with the PPP loan. We had, what's his man's name, was over here, him and his fiance, Simone, and I can't remember his name, but he was over here faking and frauding his fiance. I looked up, he had fake Rolexes and fake gold chains. And so I don't know if they're on again or they're off again, but Tommy is not Tommy. Tommy not the best picker. Or whoever's over there picking. I don't know what the criteria is, but here in Houston, it seems to be the land of the pretty people. Because it's a good looking cast. So we'll see what happens with that. But let's start out with the bottom two. And then we'll work our way through. So bottom two, ladies first, Leanne and Tequila. Leanne is a 49-year-old realtor and fitness advocate. I don't know what a fitness advocate is, but clearly she has something to do with working out. And then you have Tequila, a 35-year-old executive assistant. Sorry, Leanne. She had to go first. Leanne was walking around the mixer. They all come into this mansion and they're like mingling with each other. And Leanne was over there asking everybody what's their sign. And, apparently that wasn't enough to keep her around. Tequila, she's an interesting individual. Tequila, I feel like, just based on what I've seen, is a bit insecure and also a bit messy. So she had this interaction, the one that stood out. She had this interaction with, what's my man's name? Phil. Phil is a 41-year-old supply chain analyst. Don't know what that is, but Phil seems nice enough. So her and Phil are sitting having a conversation. And they talk about relationship. She asked him, what is he looking for in his next relationship? And he said he wanted to see how a person heals. I guess, Phil. They moved from there to talk about spirituality. And from spirituality, she asked him, now this is her leading the conversation. She, from spirituality, she asked him, do you believe in sex before marriage? And he's like, yeah, before marriage, before breakfast, before I leave the house. And then from there, she asked him if he ever had a threesome. Now she's asking this man all these questions, and he said, he's answering them. If you're not comfortable having a sex conversation, then don't lead with a sex conversation. And I also don't think, like, when you're just getting to know somebody, that sex should probably not ever come up. It's gonna come, but if there's no a real attraction. I don't feel like there's any reason to be talking about sex, to be honest. But this is her leading the charge with all these questions about sex. He asked her if she'd ever had a threesome. Did he ask her that? Or yeah, and she said no. She asked him where's the wildest place he ever had sex, and he said a parking garage. And then all of a sudden she got all judgy. I'm not gonna get all sweaty in a parking garage and there's rodents in there. I mean, I guess. I don't know that he was like literally in the garage. I'm assuming he was in his car. I don't know, but you asked the man the question, he answered you. Now you want to be all judgy and standoffish, and then she dismissed herself and basically snubbed him. So from there, she ends up in the bottom. So once she's in the bottom, now she's all in her feelings. So she goes in the corner and starts crying. And I'm like, girl, we have just met these people. It's not that serious. Somebody's got to be in the bottom. Pick up your big girl panties and go back in here and just, you didn't go home. You just were in the bottom. So people have ended up in the bottom and lasted all the way through. Who was it last season? I can't remember his name, but he was in the bottom every week, I feel like, and made it all the way to the end. I don't know if him and that girl are still seeing each other, but he ended up like they, ended up at least dating each other. But anyway, she couldn't handle it. She's up there crying. And then this young man, Monier's a 36-year-old entrepreneur. He came over. He was very nice. He was comforting her. He was encouraging her and pretty much telling her, like, you don't know these people. Don't let that really affect like how you feel about yourself. So after, he wiped away her tears, she picked herself up, and I'm assuming she went on back in the house and continued to mingle with the rest of the people. Who else we got? My notes are all over the place because, like I said, there wasn't no real connections, but I picked out the people that stood out. So we got Red. Red is a 42-year-old DJ / comedian. And he's a funny looking individual, let me tell you, but that's neither here nor there. Him and Unique. Unique is a 32-year-old TV and film producer. They were having a conversation and she said to him, like, he's very corny too. He's like one of those fake smooth type dudes that's, tries to tell you how much you like him. So, she wasn't going for it. She said to him, like, every time I see you, I feel like you look familiar to me. And his translation of that was, so you mean to tell me every time you're talking to any other one of these guys that you're thinking about me? And she was like, no, I ain't saying that. I'm saying you look familiar, basically. He said, look, I'm sure you know I'm attracted to you. And she's pretty much like, how am I supposed to know that? He's like, because of the way we look at each other. Like, he assumes a lot in this conversation. When Unique finds out what he does, she say, oh, you have a thought job. And he takes it so personal. I mean, I wouldn't call it that. I feel like she was just kidding because he's a DJ and a comedian, which means he's out in the public a lot and around a lot of women. And being a DJ kind of is a thought job. Now, she didn't call him a thought. She just said it's a thought job. And now he's no longer interested, but he is, because I feel like he was feeling her, and he also wasn't like gonna accept the fact that she wasn't feeling him. So he had to, like, I guess, find some reason to make it be a thing, because it really wasn't a thing. And you're a comedian. You should be able to, like, come back with something cute. But he was not. He was very much in his feelings. So the men in the bottom two. Let me back up a little bit. Habibi, let me tell you about Habibi. So Habibi is, do I have his stats? Habibi's a 33-year-old saxophonist. Habibi says that his being a saxophonist has pretty much ruined his love life because it requires him to make every other woman happy. I don't know what he's talking about. He's pretty much full of shit. He said he spent some time in Dubai and he's walking around with his sheet tied around his head and calling himself Habibi, because that ain't his real name. I forget his real name. Something like Travis, something regular. But he then went over to Dubai for 15 minutes, and now he's Habibi with sheet on his head. And I don't know the appropriate name for it, but for all intent and purposes, because this dude is from Dallas, I'm assuming he's Habibi with sheet on his head. So Habibi, being lame, and also being that he was in the bottom two on the first night, he beeline towards Tequila. I feel like both of them are low hanging fruit, so they kind of like attach themselves to each other. He's also another one with these corny lines. He's over there, romancing her with his foolishness. He was also asking everybody, would they cheat with him? He was sitting with one of the other ladies and he asked her, which one of these guys here would you cheat with me? I mean, I don't know. She was pretty much like, I don't cheat. So that's a weird question. And so he asked her this, would you cheat with me? This is his conversation with Tequila. He's having a conversation with Tequila. She's telling him about her ex. And he asked her, would you cheat on your ex with me? And she right away says, yes. And they start laughing. And she says she been ride or die. She been a ride or die for him since the very beginning. The beginning of what? The day? The morning? I don't know what time they start getting there, but she been riding or die. I don't know why you'd be ride or die for a stranger, but Tequila is she's ride or die for her BB with the sheet on his head. She thinks he's deep. She thinks he's being himself. I don't know how she knows who himself is so quickly, but hey, this is her man and she's gonna stick by him. Then he kisses his own hand and he said, I kissed my own hand. And she said, why didn't you kiss my hand? And he said, because I'm gonna do that at another time. And I mean, then she's like butter. I'm confused because Habibi is corny as hell. Like I said, he ended up in the bottom because the ladies were saying, he was a little bit too forward and his mouth was foul and they didn't like it. That being said, there's Brandon. Brandon is a 39-year-old train dispatcher and he did not make it. They sent Brandon home probably because Brandon has 4 children and he just recently divorced his wife for the second time 6 months ago. So he married this woman, and he married her again, and then 6 months ago they divorced again. 6 months is not that long, not enough time for you to be over here trying to say you're ready for love, especially when you have 4 kids. You should be ready to figure out how y'all are gonna handle that situation before you move on. So Habibi's trash, but not more trash than Brandon, according to this group of ladies. So next episode 2, they have a brunch the next day. They have a mixer one day. They're back the next day for a brunch. We have Marvin, who's 41, and he's an erotic author. He does live performances and BDSM or whatever the hell he's doing over there. And he said he's turned his apartment into a dungeon. That's all I've heard about Marvin. Marvin pretty much has shared nothing about himself except for his erotic author and such, and all the erotic things that he's into. He and Unique have a little, it's still another mixer, so it's not even a date. They have a little moment. They sit down at the mixer. They have a little conversation, and Unique, she's into it. I don't know why. I mean, I guess he's all right looking, but not enough for you to be that interested. She describes him as confident and strong and dominant. She likes it, but he scares her a little bit. She should be scared. Anybody that says they turn their apartment into a dungeon is a little bit scary, Unique. You should be concerned about that, but she over here smiling and giggling like, I don't know, girl. He gives her butterflies, and if that's what it is, that's what it is. He gives me the heebie-jeebies. So, second day at this mixer, here come Red again. He wants to have another conversation with Unique. Now, he said he was done with it, but he's clearly not done with it. He feels like she disrespected his 6-figure craft, and he made it a point to say, 6 figures, honey, by the way. And she's like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean for you to take it to heart. I was just saying a thought job. And, she definitely wasn't calling him a thought. She doesn't know this man to call him a thought. She was calling it a thought job because he's, around a lot of women. It's not that serious, but he's taking it serious. I think he's more taking it more serious that she's not into him more so than she said he has a thought job because you're a grown man. It's not that serious. He said he meets disrespect with more disrespect. If you're on 10, I'm on 15. Okay. And so then we both thoughts. And she's like, all right. He said, I really didn't think I was going to have another conversation with you, but here we are. She was like, I mean, she says sorry, Red. She's not into you. I'm not sure what you're trying to make it. But now, after this second conversation where he got nowhere again, now he hates this woman. He just has it out for her because she's not feeling him. She'd rather go over there to the dungeon with Marvin and sit at that table and have a conversation with Red. After this mixer, now it's time for them to set up these dates. It's funny, they like to act like that they're setting up the group dates, but it's clearly production that's setting up the group dates based on how they're working, who shows up. So Tequila, she sets up the date. She sets up the date at this place called Bowl Games. Bowl Games is somewhere where you throw a football at bowling pins. They said it was fun. To me, it didn't seem that much fun. I really want to throw a football at bowling pins. If I'm gonna go bowling, I'm gonna go bowling. And I love football, but I don't play football. So the group date was Kira. Kira's 30 and she's a realtor. And then there's Janelle. Janelle is a 42-year-old entrepreneur, 41, 42, I'm not sure. She's an entrepreneur. Every time they say entrepreneur, I'm like, okay, fine, but we don't know. I need more details, girl. I don't know what you do. And then the guys were Red, Phil. Phil is from Tequila's first date. I mean, first conversation where, he was over there having sex in the parking lot. So according to her, that was disgusting. And Habibi, because Habibi's her man and she's been ride or die for him from the last 24 hours. So yeah, she's coming on this date too. They sit down and straight out the gate, Tequila comes for Phil. She's like not understanding why he gave, she's got a bone to pick with him. She doesn't understand this energy that he was giving her. And I'm like, girl, you would have want giving him energy. He was in the middle of a conversation and you got all snooty and stuffy and walked off. I didn't say he seems like a nice guy. I mean, they definitely all don't seem like a nice guy, but from what you can see so far, we haven't seen any of the flaws in some of them. We've seen the flaws immediately in some of them, and I prefer it like that. Let me see you flaws straight out the gate, and I don't have to waste my time. Red, they like Red's funny looking stuff. Red, Kira, and Janelle somehow he has a connection with those two. They go over to Red and Kira go to throw the football at the bowling pins. He's very handsy, like he all up in her personal space and touching her waist, and she don't have a problem with it, but I think it's kind of creepy. While he's, being all handsy with Kira in front of Janelle, who he clearly, according to her, has a connection with from yesterday. She's very vocal about how, don't be touching her. She's real clear that she is not comfortable with him being so handsy with Kira, and he immediately says, yeah, she likes me. I think that's the thing that he was trying to get from Unique, but she ain't giving it to him, but he getting it from Janelle, and so that makes him happy. Habibi and Tequila are having a conversation, and he over there telling her he cheated on his last girlfriend. He likes to talk about cheating a lot. He cheated on his last girlfriend because she wouldn't give him head. And so in my mind, I'm like, yeah, so he's letting you know right now, girl, if you're not down, I mean, I guess you're down with head as long as it's not in the parking lot of a parking garage. She doesn't do that. She says she respects his honesty. instead of, being concerned that this man is always talking about cheating, she respects his honesty. But, she did jump on board and say she would cheat with him. So, he's a cheater, she's a cheater as far as I can see. Janelle is being real shady towards Kira. Janelle has a very off-putting personality, which is funny because all the guys seem to like her a lot. Like her name comes up on the top with more than one person. I would say 3 or 4 people when they get in that deliberation, her name comes up at the top. So whatever she's saying to them on the phone and behind, the cameras is working because they like them some Janelle. She's a little stinking ass personality though, as far as I can see. She kept referring to Kira as a girl. Kira wasn't even doing nothing to her. She was sitting, having a good time with Red. And to be honest, I don't even really think she likes Red like that. She was just, there on the date doing what she was supposed to be doing, enjoying herself. Everybody leaves. Phil was there, not having any connection with anybody, so he's the first one to bounce out. Once he gets ready to leave, everybody kind of like takes his cue, and then Red and Janelle are left there. They're having conversation, a little more getting to know each other time. And when they get ready to leave, she takes a moment to point out that Kira's bag was fake and mine is real. Her bag is fake, mine is real, but she's a little girl. I don't like that. I mean, go if you want to go after the man, go after the man. Leave the other lady like, why you gotta like talk smack on the other girl? It's so unattractive, and especially when you're trying to impress this clown. He ain't even worth the time of day, to be honest, as far as I can see. So there's another group date. We got Aries. She's a 43-year-old software sales manager. You got Jessica, a 38-year-old entrepreneur. I feel like it says she was a coffee brand owner, which at least when you say entrepreneur and I know what you're doing, so that's interesting. She's a coffee brand owner. Coffee's like crack, so it can be, it can be, I'm sure, a very lucrative business to be in. And then Sierra is a 33-year-old stylist. And then the guys that were there was Herbert. Herbert is the aviation manager. That seems cool. Chris is a 39-year-old construction developer, and Quentin is a 33-year-old personal trainer. I mean, he's young and fine, and he looks like a personal trainer. I mean, that little get together was cute or whatever. I don't really think there was any real connections established there. It was a cute little hangout. They had a good time. Sierra comes across as a very fun personality. Her and Herbert might have had a little connection, but Sierra, she's so friendly. I feel like she has to be careful because she might get friend zoned by these guys. It's one thing to be like Janelle, who's at the top of everybody's list. She's very good at the flirting thing, that coddling and making them feel like, I don't know, like you want them, like you're on the chase, and they like that. Sierra's kind of like just a good time, and so I hope that doesn't, or I mean, I guess I don't care one way or the other, but I feel like that might get in her way. Not in a bad way, just in a way of she won't really have any romantic connection. And I don't know that she cares, to be honest, because if it ain't a connection, ain't no need of, wasting your time. Habibi and Sierra have a one-on-one. And I guess he was entertaining her at first until he said her mama ain't shit. And everybody said like his mouth is reckless. Lee and Quentin have a private date. Quentin, like I said, is a personal trainer. He's 33. Lee, what's her stat? I know I have them somewhere. Lee's 34. She's a gym owner and a wellness coach. So clearly her and Quentin have something in common, but she said she usually doesn't really date guys in the gym. And I get it because it's a thought job. Just like the other job, it's a thought job. You get to be in there like stretching out the girls, and he's a good looking guy, so I'm quite sure a lot of the ladies are in his face all the time, and that's probably annoying when you're trying to date. Not his fault, I'm just saying it is what it is. Just like what's this girl Unique said, it's a thought job. That doesn't mean he's a thought. So I'm not sure why Red took it, Red is this one. You know what he reminds me of? Anyway, where was I? I mean, they're cute. We'll see. They're a pretty couple. She's pretty, he's pretty. They're nice to look at, but it's still too early to see what's gonna happen. Two pretty people don't automatically make a pair. So now we're in the ladies' lounge. This is the first ladies' lounge because the first elimination happened at the mixer. They're discussing their tops and their bottoms. And none of the ladies are really feeling Habibi. And when they're saying why they're not really feeling him, Squealer over there just rocking back and forth. She just can't because, they talk about her ride or die. She ain't really feeling that. She's saying like they ain't even tried to get to know him. He's real. He take care of his kids. I don't know why she knows that, like for a fact. As a matter of fact, he said he had a 7-year-old kid by somebody that he knew for 11 days. So let that marinate. Anyway, Janelle. Yes, Janelle. I'm not gonna be able to remember these names unless I write it down. Janelle said that she had an encounter with Habibi off camera that irritated her, and she acted real irritated when they went to the bowling football thing. Apparently, she said she turned around and he said, "If she keep playing, he gonna suck on her titties." And Tommy was like, "Who said that? What the hell is wrong with him? He's not trying to have no disrespect." And that's gross. Like they all just said that his mouth was reckless and he was doing too much. His jokes ain't funny. Quentin's name came up. Kira says she thinks Quentin might be into white women. I don't know where that came from. I did not hear him say that or why she thought that. And I mean, if he is, I don't think that's a wrong thing. I think it's an issue if he's only into white women. But he didn't say any of that. It's a could be, it's a maybe not. Right now, it's just something that came out of their mouth, not his. Right when she said that, Taquilla's trying to save Habibi, so she jumped in to co-sign that right quick, and then she lies on him and said that when they were at the mixer the first night, she asked him if he was into anybody, and he said he was not interested in none of the women there, that none of them were his type. And that is a full-fledged lie. He did not say that. She said, "Are you into me?" And he said, "I'm not into anyone yet." But mind you, it's the first day and I've been here all of 12 minutes, so I don't really feel like I need to say who I'm into. Not you, girl, not you. He's not. Lee said, "I'm the most chocolate thing here." Lee is. Lee. Lee said, "I'm the most chocolate thing here," and they having a real connection. And he like her and he likes Janelle. So, whether or not he likes white women, I don't know. But he like them chocolate as well. And Tequila is just trying to, save her man. So much so that she starts a fight over him. They get to talking about how they're not feeling him and how reckless his mouth is. She starts an argument with Janelle, said the only reason why the men like her is because of her skin complexion. I'm so tired of that. Nah, we're not doing that. Anyway, she got up out her seat and was like ready to attack this woman. And then she looked at like I said, her and Janelle were going back and forth. It was a full-on almost fight. As the security were removing her from the room, she looked at Jessica and what the heck? I don't know what just happened. My computer just went blank. But as the security was moving her out, removing her from the room, she looked at Jessica and growled at her basically and said, "You can get it too." At the end of the day, Habibi and Red ended up in the bottom two. When nobody really feeling Red, I don't know. that was just his interaction with the room as a whole. We know why Unique wasn't feeling him, but the rest of the women weren't really feeling him, except for Janelle. Janelle seems to be feeling Red. And maybe Kira. I don't think Kira's really feeling Red. Honestly, I don't think Kira's feeling anybody. She's just there. She's just there. Anyway, besides Miss Tequila getting her weave all twisted, and now she's sitting there, full on tears, talking about, if you send Habibi home, send me home. Well, girl, Habibi went home. They didn't want him. So, and I can see why. Like, if I was going to send somebody home, he would have been the one. So far, I think, as far as the eliminations go, the right ones are leaving. Next episode, Tommy's Choice. So Tommy's Choice, he's the one that's going to set up the date. And I'm sure it's based on the conversations that go on in the elimination, what do they call it? Elimination Lounge. He wants to kind of pair people up that haven't been paired up before, so you can kind of get to know everyone. Because a lot of times they get in there and they think they found their person, and then from day one they be trying to connect to the one person and then don't get a chance to know anybody else. So he set it up where the first date, Marvin and Tequila, they go on a little date where you throw darts and stuff, and there's nothing going on there. They had a good time, but Marvin said he heard that she said that at the mixer that he was ignoring her. And I don't know who she's talking to. Like, all these men keep saying that they heard what she said. Who is she saying it to? It's weird. It's like she's sabotaging her own self. So you have one day, two days at a mixer, and you don't get a chance to meet. Like, there's 9 different dudes there. There's only so much you can do. So because you didn't get a chance to connect with this guy on those first couple of times, all of a sudden you write him off. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't think she was into her either, but they did seem to have a good time. And I think that's what it's all about. Like, if she would just get out of her own way and learn how to enjoy the day for what it is, you never know what's gonna happen. Because a lot of times the person you like isn't the person that you first, you see somebody and he's fine and he's this and he's that, and then you get to know him and you're like, he ain't really the one I should have been, initially giving my time to. So anyway. The other day was Chris, the construction manager. Chris, sitting at a restaurant and coming and doing some new people. So in walks Kat. Kat is a 34-year-old registered nurse. She's super pretty. She's tall and confident, and she got a good game. She got a good talk game. So she had him grinning so hard. I seen all of his teeth, all of them. The other date was Janelle and new person Christopher. Christopher is a 33-year-old security owner and former school teacher. I'm always like having affinity for school teachers. I think it takes a certain type of person that's nurturing and caring, and so that's always a good quality, because a lot of adults, are on some, I don't like kids, I don't want to be around kids, and so I think that's a good quality to have brought out in a person. They had a really good day. They had a lot in common. She was very giggly. Her personality, which I said initially is very off-putting, somehow when she was on this date with Christopher, she softened up and she was much sweeter. So I don't know what's going to happen there to us. Christopher was tall, good-looking guy. He had an afro situation going on. He's 33, she's 41. I have no problems with that because I don't. The other date was Phil, Tequila, and Sierra. So Phil gets to this restaurant and in walks Tequila. And good Lord, he's probably like, no, not again. They keep on making me hang out with this girl. Why? So when Sierra walked in, he looked super relieved that somebody else was going to be there besides just Tequila. They having a good conversation. Like I said, Sierra has such a great personality. She seems to make that easy with everyone. So he really had a good time, talking to Sierra. He actually said he was glad that Tommy did that, because she might not have been somebody, I guess, that he would have initially gravitated towards, but he really enjoyed her company and, start seeing something in her that he hadn't seen before. I like it. For right now, I like it. And I think that's a good thing. I think sometimes you have to like not be so attached to what you're attracted to, because that's not necessarily what's good for you. The conversation moved towards somebody asked him how young would he date, and he said 30. He said he feels like, and he not necessarily, because he's 41, he said he's not necessarily looking to go that young, but 30 is like as his limit. He said he feels like there's a generation gap beyond that, and especially where social media is concerned, and I get it. You start to, you know, not be in the same space, especially as a professional person, even though you start to mature by the time you're 30, but still, I respect it. Tequila, y'all really creative, ain't you? Tequila asked him, does he post his significant other? And he's like, I'm kind of a private person. And she was like, I would like for somebody, this is how she don't listen. She said, I would like for somebody to post me from time to time. And he said, every now and then, 1,000%. And she said, she feels like he's emotionally immature. He said every now and then. I feel like what he was saying was he not just out there posting everybody he's dating. If he's in a situation with someone that's clearly a real relationship of somebody that you would definitely consider a significant other, yeah, from time to time. It depends on what you're doing. A lot of people, like, he probably doesn't post a lot anyway. Like, if he's somebody that's not really a poster, then it makes sense that he wouldn't. If he's somebody that's posting all the time, because she's just assume you post your work, you post your friends, how do you know what he's posting? Because he just said he was a private person. A lot of people feel that way. I know. Look, my daughter is 23 years old. She don't really be posting nothing on social media. I'm a poster. I post it all the time, and especially being in this content creator space, I post a lot. Neither one of my kids really post, and it's not a thing, and it definitely doesn't make you emotionally immature. She's emotionally immature. The fact that she would even connect those two things, and like I said, she wasn't even listening. He didn't say no. That's not what he said, but she was too busy talking and coming up with an assessment of what this man is. She didn't hear what he said. In the meantime, he's like, Sierra, girl, what you talking about? How many kids you want? They had a great conversation. The date number 5, because we everybody's on a group except for the only people that weren't on a group were the 2 new people, Christopher and Kat and no, Chris and Kat and Christopher and Janelle. Date 5, Herbert, Red, and Christopher. So now we have incorporated, because the new people got to get to know everybody. So it's Herbert, Red, and Christopher, and then you have Lee, Aries, and Unique. Aries, I don't think we've talked about Aries. She's very cute. Aries is, what is her profession? She's a software manager. Yeah, we talked about Aries because she had the little get together at her house. So she's at football. It's Aries, Unique, and Lee. They're playing flag football. They had a good time. All these girls are athletic, so they was playing hard. Red, when Christopher walked in, Red is immediately intimidated by this tall, good-looking man because I feel like Red know he's funny looking, and I say that because he was having a conversation with Aries, and he asked, he said, I find you very attractive. I feel like he says the same thing to all the women. I find you very attractive, and you said you're very outspoken. Do you find me attractive? And she was like, that means no. Maybe you shouldn't ask people that. I think that's a weird question to ask somebody, to be honest, but he's not attractive. He's quite strange looking. He looks like Unique, and her sits down. She's a little intense. Unique apparently had a bad divorce, and seems to be carrying a little bit of that baggage with her. So they're having a hard time determining whether she's really healed from that situation or not, because she's coming off real intense. So I feel like that's a little off-putting for them. Lee, she says she has tunnel vision. When she she likes somebody, and I can relate to that. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I can go for a long time and not like anybody. But once I like somebody, I'm focused on that. I don't really have to be dibbling and dabbling in anything else. So this process, if I found myself in it, I probably would just be playing the game like Kat is playing the game, and just being real chit chatty and just seeing how far I can get until I'm done. But unless you're lucky, unless you find somebody that you connect with for real, but the likelihood of that is not very much. And then the final group date, was Monye, I think that's how you say his name, Marvin and Phil. And then you got Jessica, Kira, and Kat. So it was a cute little mashup. They meet up at this restaurant. I'm telling y'all, every restaurant. I want to go to Dallas. And you know what? I was in Dallas for 8 weeks and I did not see all this food. I wish I had known about all these places when I was there, because I was not impressed by the food in Dallas. Now I feel like I got cheated because I didn't know somebody for real from Dallas to take me some of these places that the food was good. Food looked good everywhere they go. But anyway, they had a cute little mashup. Everybody is there at first except for Kat. She arrives last, and when she got there, the ladies kind of gave her a little cold shoulder-ish, because this tall, beautiful woman walks in and the intimidation, I guess, kicked in. I don't know if that's what it was, but that's kind of what it seemed like. It seems weird to me to give somebody that energy, like, if I like you and you like me, whatever's going on, there's beautiful women everywhere you go, at the gas station, at the grocery store. Like, if that's how you're gonna feel, you might as well go in the house and close the door and don't come back out. They break into these little one-on-ones and they have little conversations, and Marvin wants to tell everybody about how he's erotic and exotic and wants to like suck on your toes and put you in a dungeon. And he feels like he's the master of erotic entertainment. All of them kind of had googly eyes for Kat. So all y'all can't have Kat. So as soon as they get past the newness of Kat, I think, they'll get back to trying to focus on who their real connection is with. So we get to the men's lounge. Nigga Red is still mad. He's still mad that the lady said he had a thought job, and he's like got an in for her. So when they're talking eliminations, everybody's saying who's on their bottom, but he really coming for Unique because she called his job a thought job. Janelle's name is at the top of everybody's list. So they in there like, she's the girl is mine, the girl is mine, the girl is mine. After the deliberation is done, Unique and Tequila find themselves in the bottom two. Unique has a one-on-one with Monye. He's such a gentle soul, and for some reason I feel like they might, well, it's funny because she's connecting to the two completely opposite individuals. On one hand, she's connecting with this sex dungeon nigga, and then on the other hand, it seems like she kind of likes Monye. I think it's his quiet, sweet spirit kind of makes him hard to not like. I don't know if it's attraction or it's just he's so lovable that you just can't help but, like him. But he's probably what she needs. Because based on what she's saying about her last relationship, I really don't feel like she needs to be up in no daggone sex dungeon, erotic dungeon. But she right now is following the thing that she's attracted to. Anyway, this dude, Marvin, say he want to move to the Caribbean in the next 8 years. So she going to be over in the dungeon. He's not only going to take you to the dungeon, he'll take you out of the country to the Caribbean, and you can't even call 911. I'm just kidding. Anyway, Tequila was talking behind the scenes to people because Monye said she talked to him and told him that she heard he was had other connections, and if that's the case, then he need to go ahead and work on that. which is foolish because Habibi is gone. Y'all were talking about cheating together in the whole nine, but when you were in tears, Monet is the one that was holding your hand and wiping your tears and trying to make you feel better. I think it's just in his nature to be nice to people. That's what it seems so far. At the end of it all, they sent Tequila home. I'm glad about that because she was getting on my nerves. She was an angry individual. She was over there trying to fight the women and, wasn't really making no connections with anyone. It was interesting to see her fake happy because that's what it seemed like. She put on this really fake, bubbly energy and it just wasn't genuine. And I felt like that had them confused. Maybe she should just pause and figure out who she is and maybe try to like herself a little bit because I don't think she does. She just pretends it. She's really insecure. So it looks like next week, Red is still mad. He's still fussing at this lady about calling his job a thought job, and it's annoying. And then Marvin is still talking about sex and sex dungeons, and I don't know. I feel like either one of them can go for me, but Unique is over here having a connection with him. And I don't know who Red is connecting with because it looks like Janelle has other options and he ain't, She said her top two was who did she say? Herbert and Quentin. She did not say Red. Red was not on her top. So I feel like Red might be the next to go. I won't be mad at that because he's sitting around whining about somebody calling his job a thought job. Anyway, y'all, that's Ready to Love. Like I said, the first 3 episodes are kind of boring, honestly, just because we don't know who the connections are. And so I guess we'll see next week who's into who. Until then, don't forget, like this video, subscribe to my channel. We'll see you on the next one. Bye, y'all.